Hello and welcome to a new episode for Talks with Bassem. I grew up believing that the problem is not to fall in our journey. The real problem is not knowing how to stand up after every time we fall. Because in those moments when we fall, that's where often we receive the biggest learnings in our life. My next guest in this episode is a dear friend, Duduzanne Zuma. Duduzanne is the son of the former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma. Duduzanne not just fall many times in his life and he managed to stand up, but also he's the real example of how to allow those dark moments that he's been through in his life inform the bigger goal and the objectives of who he wants to be in the future. I have learned a lot from listening to Duduzanne. I think his story is very inspiring, knowing especially how young he is and how much he's been through in his journey and the dreams that he has for himself and his nation. I sincerely would love that you will enjoy this interview, and I wish you all to continue to live peacefully. Thank you. Duduzanne, welcome to the Talks with Bassem. I'm so glad to have you with me today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'll do a quick introduction for my audience who might not be familiar with you. You are the son of the former South African president, Jacob Zuma. You're born in 1982. You're married. You have a family with wife and two kids who I'm honored to know them personally. You're a young and successful businessman who have achieved few things at a young age. And there is much more to you than that. If I wanna ask you to introduce yourself on the way that you like to introduce yourself, who are you?
Thank you very much for that. That was a beautiful introduction, by the way, so I don't want to mess it up. But who I am is Duduzanne Zuma, as you introduced me. I'm a young Black South African. I'm a businessman, and I'm just trying to fit into the world the best way I know how to. That's who I am.
Beautiful. Just to give a little bit context for our interview, I recently have launched a book that is named Peace in the 5 Laws of Peaceful Living. And coinciding with the book, I'm trying to do interviews with individuals like yourself who has been in a, let's call it, interesting journey in life. And like any journeys has ups and downs. And to learn from your experience of what kept you going. How did you manage to navigate through a rough time in life? And what tips we can learn from those times. So you may find me asking very little political questions or even business questions. Today I'm going to take you a little bit out of that word that I'm assuming that you practice almost every day. So I want to go with my questions to certain times in your life, and I would like to talk a little bit about early stage. Let's go to the age of 18. At the age of 18, you have lost your mother, Kate Zuma, who committed suicide.
Yes.
And you were somehow present in the scene, if I may call it, that day. You've been called, you have witnessed things, you even have, you've been the first one to read a note that she had left. That's a big event for an 18 years old to deal with. I guess my question is, how did you deal with this situation? And what lessons you can share with us about when people are in turmoils like this, when a loss of close people to them happen, what can we do? How can we continue to move forward?
Thank you for that. And first and foremost, congratulations on your book, Peace In. I must admit, I'm not done reading it, but I have picked up a copy. The reason why I congratulate you is because not many people in their lifetimes will be able to write a book and publish it, especially a book such as yours that is useful in everyday life.
Thank you.
The reason I mention this is because, unfortunately, some of us, including myself, did not have these tools available to us at that time. Not in the sense that we couldn't go to a bookstore and pick one up, not in a sense of calling someone up to have a conversation, but when it comes to certain cultural practices, at least the culture that I'm part of, traditional practices, it's something that is not openly done. There's not, the sense of having to sit and have a discussion with your parents about something as significant as a loss of another parent is a very taboo thing to do. So the way I dealt with it is the way I normally deal with stuff. I internalize it. I had, the option of speaking to a therapist. They exist. That's not the journey that I've taken in my life. Whatever traumatic experiences that I've had and that I've gone through, I've had to sit down, introspect, and just deal with it as time goes on. As they say, time is a great healer, and that's how I've dealt with my issues. I didn't speak to family members about it because I've always felt that I've been a pillar in the family. So I'm the one that always needs to remain strong. So in order to have the discussions and to bring everyone in great detail on how the event unfolded, I felt it would have been unfair to them at that point. And that's why I chose to do it quite recently. As a matter of fact, probably about 3-4 weeks ago, I did that. And that's 20 years later. So I've had time to deal with it, and I believe I'm in a good place. I'm not saying that talking about it and looking for other people's guidance and help is the wrong thing to do. That's not what I'm saying. That's just the way I dealt with it.
Yeah. So internalizing it and then reflecting on it, and then finding the answer from within. That's what I'm taking from.
That's correct. Because so there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of questions, and at most times people don't have all the answers, and it's unfair to always just be shooting from the hip. So I decided to take a step back and deal with it as time allowed me to do.
I'm taking the conversation somewhere else. What was the most thing that you missed after the loss of your mother?
I think it's the most, it's our parents always joke with us when we're a bit of troublemakers, and they say one day you're gonna miss us when we're gone, And the thing that I've missed about my mother in this case is not being able to be part of my development and my journey. I look at other people who still have their parents. There's someone who's very dear to you. I had the pleasure of meeting mother, and to see a parent interact with their child at a part in their journey when they're not children anymore, they're adults. They've navigated life through thick and thin, through challenges, and the parents are either there to give them a pat on the back and say congratulations, or to say, look, you're doing this wrong, is there any way that I can assist? I haven't had that from my mother, and that's the one thing I feel I would have loved for her to have seen, to see me today where I'm at, the positive developments that I've achieved, and just for her to say what she would say, good or bad. I think that's what I miss the most.
The turmoils did not land after that event. You moved in your journey in life, and then I'm going to go fast forward to when your father was the president, when he was in office. I think, please correct me if some of those dates are wrong, but I believe in 2014, your father was poisoned himself, and he was severely sick. I think at that time you didn't know that he was poisoned, but his life was at risk. And so the mother, you lost the mother at earliest age. Now as the father is severely sick, you had to be with him during his yeah, exactly. And then after that, that came with a lot of details that I'm not gonna dive into what happened during that journey and the pressure that him and you that you've been through. But I'm gonna go also fast forward a little bit to 2018, where your younger brother lost his life as well. And later on, you have discovered that he was poisoned himself. And investigations have showed that the target was probably your dad. But because they could not reach your dad, you've been the second target. And for some reason, they could not reach you. And then they have reached your younger brother. I mean, each one of those by itself is a big event for any individual. During the events, when those things were happening, especially during your incidents with your dad, what kept your sanity? Like, what helped you to continue to focus and not losing it, especially after the death of your brother as well? What did you tap into within you that helped you to keep moving forward?
I think, Bassem, two things. One, there are a lot of people that, we all live our lives and we do what we need to do. And I'm sure you face the same scenario. A lot of people that look to us for guidance, for leadership, for protection, whatever it is. And if we let our guard down, that means we're letting down a whole lot of people. So from my side, I decided I cannot let my guard down. I have to keep moving. I have to remain to be that pillar that people expect me to be, whether I like it or not. I've assumed this role and I'll continue to take this role. That's the first thing. The second thing is from an internal perspective. And I think this goes for people that experience a lot of painful events in their lives, a lot of traumatic events. I may be wrong, you'd be better placed to speak on it, but that creates a level of, what's the term I'm looking for? A level of resilience. Mm-hmm. So now, the more trauma that you go through, the more resilient you are to trauma. And I think that in my case, I believe that's what would have happened. Not to say that I didn't feel it, not to say that it didn't affect me, but I think I had less emotions to show, because it's like, okay, I've been through this. It's been painful. It is painful, but I can get through it. We learn from other people's examples. There are a lot of people that go through, I'm not saying this was an easy situation, but go through a lot of crazy events in their lives and scenarios. They come out of it and, it shapes them to be better people and to be humans that contribute to society. And I always look at these examples and say, he or she could go through what they went through, which makes my problem, which it's all relative, but to me, it's a serious problem. To someone else would be like, look, you lost a mother or a brother, I've lost the whole family in whatever situation would it be. I look to those examples and say, if they could do it, surely I can do it. And that's what's kept me on my path. It wasn't easy. I think more than anything, losing a mother, that's to anyone is a very difficult situation. Almost losing a father, and and this time around, I was also part of that journey. Part of a certain journey of seeing the bad and the ugly of that, not the good, but the bad and the ugly. And retrospectively, I think to myself, but how did we get here? There's an old saying that they say politics is a dirty game, and that's something that I've learned to understand the hard way, but it is what it is. We're here and we continue to push on. Then it comes to my little brother, you know, that was a bit heavy for me because, you know, I hadn't seen him in a long time. And the reason why it was difficult to get to me is because I move around. So I wasn't a sitting duck. And he had an autoimmune disease that's called lupus. So during his medical checkups, this is the point that they caught up with him and did whatever they did. Now, my only problem with that, as opposed to losing my mother or almost losing my father, in African traditions, it is the saddest thing when a mother or father, so a parent, has to bury their child. I'm sure that it's the case in most places in the world, but I could see the pain in my father's eyes, in his heart, that, you know, he's lived this long life, he's gone through whatever he's gone through in his life due to his own choosing, and how it has affected his child in this manner. Political pressure is political pressure. It comes with the territory. But the way that his son, in that case, my brother, was dealt with is unacceptable. And to see him, a father who is in his late 70s, having to bury a son who's in his mid-20s, is a very unfortunate thing to see. But here we are today, and we can speak about these things, and we hope that we can impart some sort of experience and knowledge to other people, the way in which others have imparted to us to deal with these issues.
I love what you said, Duduzanne, about when we are going through a tough time, we look to other people's experiences, and then we learn from their experiences, and we find that if they meant to deal with that, or they're able to deal with that, then we can deal with our own challenges, whatever that is. But I want to be very correct how to say this. I always say about myself that my biggest learnings in life came from the darkest moments of my life. And I always say that the problem is not to fall, but is not to stand up, or not to know how to stand up after falling. This is the real problem. So, I mean, I don't wanna turn those very private events into learning opportunities. But what did you learn out of those? What is, if you wanna say, your biggest learning from passing through those events? If you wanna put it in one sentence, what would that be?
Whatever decisions you make in your life, whatever experiences you go through, the consequences will always show, sooner or later, good or bad. That's something. And then why I say that is, you know, we all make decisions. Sometimes decisions are not ours to make, but we all get to a point where we choose a path. And when that path is chosen, we just have to walk through it. Yeah. So, you know, when you ask that question, I think what immediately springs to mind, besides summing it up, is that you need to believe in yourself. You need to have self-belief, because if you do not believe in yourself, and it may sound cliche, but this is what I've learned the hard way. If you do not believe in yourself, then you've got no business expecting other people to believe in you. Because unfortunately for human nature, as I understand it, everyone loves to be part of a winning team. Winning does not mean a competition or anything like that, but just winning in life, being able to, as you said, to stand up from adversity, from trials and tribulations, and to continue with life and to pick up where you left off. So that would be my response to your question.
So I love what you said about any decisions you make in life, be aware that there will be consequences. And like, good or bad. Prepare yourself. Yeah, just be aware when you take a decision, but those consequences will come. They might not come now, they will come later, but be aware that those will show up.
Absolutely.
I guess I'm gonna use that as a segue to you personally now. I mean, to your own growth journey. As a young businessman, you have achieved quite good achievements in your journey. Different people say that you have made a lot of wealth. You have made several businesses. But that also have caused some headache to you personally. You have been accused for fraud, for the criminal acts at some points, and so more beyond that. And I've watched a few videos for you attending to courts, had to defend yourself. It's been harsh journey somehow. How much when someone is feeling that they are right, that they know what they have done is right, what can you do to continue to defend yourself when everything is coming against you? From every direction, everything was going against you. But you had to stand up, and I've seen you in full control. I've seen you even smiling. And for an outsider who doesn't know all the details, you came across with full confidence as you had to stand up and defend yourself. How could you do that? It's been tough.
It's been tough. I think, Bassem, taking it each day at a time is what counts. You know, every day you wake up, well, I woke up, you know, it's something that was the first thing I thought of and the last thing I thought of when going to bed. Because, you know, people make it seem like, nah, he's taking it lightly, smiling, it's not serious. No, it's a very serious thing. I think I know exactly what I stood accused of, and that I need to fight my way out of it. So once again, timing is the question. So as long as I'm able-bodied, as long as I'm healthy, and as long as I have the time on my side, which I believe I do, because I'm still young enough, I will fight the fight. You know, not everything happens on my time. That I understand. There's a whole lot of stuff that needs to happen. The accusations come, the legal challenges, arrests, whatever the procedures that need to come into play. But like I said, I introspect. I sit in my corner. I weigh out the options, and I need to look at the next move. And the next move does not necessarily mean doing it tomorrow, because it's not up to me. You know, you understand, because you've got a legal background. It's a court case takes its own time. It's not something that you're just going to press forward, happen tomorrow, it's finished. There's the process, there's an appeal, there's the different levels of court. So keeping that in mind and working it backwards is what kept me sane, to say, okay, here's where I am. I am public enemy number one. If that's what I'm being made, that's fine. I know myself. What I stand accused of is not the case. I've said this before. And when the time comes, I'll prove it. I have to go to a courtroom. The prosecution have to say what they need to say. I, as a defendant, will say what I need to say. Court of public opinion will decide, and the actual court of law will decide. Not up for me to decide. But if it gets to a point where I'm acquitted or charges are withdrawn or dropped, people need to understand that and respect that, and not say, you know, what is this all about? Because I also have my own dignity and my own human rights. So to answer it in short form, time is on my side and taking it a day at a time.
So I love the taking it a day at a time. And sometimes people cannot do that. Like, you know, often people jump into the future consequences. People start to see everything is collapsing. There must be a tip on how can someone take it day by day when they know that their, I don't know, their interest, their even sometimes life can be at risk? What would help you to take it day by day? How can you not allow your brain? I always say that our biggest problem in life is our brain, because it always, it's like a monkey. You try to control it, but it always continue to jump in different places. What helps you to say, you know what, I'm not going to focus here, and I'm going to deal with the other things when they come?
I think the journey I had in my life and the different experiences that I've been a part of myself, and seeing the journey unfold for other people. That's the one. Two, there's a term which I'm sure you're familiar with called analysis paralysis, which is, overanalyzing issues, problems, cases, love life, whatever it is, and getting to a point where you believe you figured all of this out in your own mind, and you start becoming paranoid and anxious. So the anxiety builds up to a point where you become claustrophobic in your own thoughts. But the event hasn't happened. It's not going to necessarily happen the way you thought it would happen. Because we've all had that. We've all thought, okay, we're going to show up to this race. This is the way it's going to go. We're going to come out, get the gold medal, but that's not the way it goes. Sometimes you don't win that race because of whatever factors at play. So I do not want to become a victim of analysis paralysis. I said, I'm going to keep my mind clean and clear. The legal team, that's what they do. That's their job. I'm not a lawyer. They'll do what they need to do. They'll give me the best advice that they need to. I'll tell them my story, and they factor it into how the defense is done. And then just generally in life, I can't worry about tomorrow, not knowing how I'm going to get there. So I can only take it a day at a time. And that's why I said I wake up thinking about, okay, this is what's happening. Even though my date with destiny may be in a year, 2 years' time, and I'll go to sleep thinking about the exact same thing. And just internalizing it. And by the time that time arrives, one needs to be mentally prepared, because there's nothing worse than not being prepared, and then life shows you proper flames.
I really love what you're saying, because there's even a chapter in my book that talks about living in the now. I think I can't remember what I wrote there exactly, but it's I guess I said that for 5,000 years, generation after generation, people kept thinking of sacrificing their life, thinking of the future of other people, and they want to plan for other people. But reality shows us that that did not really help. If you look at now, we have more diseases, we have more issues, we have more wars. We invented problems for us more. We have more dependency on technology and less human interaction, and that's all because people cannot live the moment, and they're always thinking of what do we want to create, what do we want to create. So you took that and applied it on a personal level. We can bring a lot of more peace to our life, even during difficult times, if we just focus on the now. And when tomorrow comes, that will be the new now, and we will focus on it and deal with it. Because I might fear something that will happen tomorrow, and God knows if it will happen or not. Let me deal with what I have in front of me now.
So just one other critical point, sorry, that I forgot to mention on that is family. We all take family for granted. I've done that for most of my life.
Yeah.
But there's a gentleman that once said to me, a wise old gentleman said to me, whatever you do in life, you take life on, whatever you say or do, there'll be a grouping of people that will love what you said and will be happy for what you're doing. There'll be a group of people that do not like what you say and will hate you for saying it. There's a middle ground that exists, but these are the two polar opposites that exist.
Yeah.
And the critical thing that he said is, what matters is, as long as you walk through your doors at home and the people that matter are happy with you, your wife, husband, your kids, your dog wagging its tail, your cat cozying up to you. As long as those people or those animals are happy with you, they know who you are. That's what matters, because the outside world changes every day. And that's something that I appreciate. And, you know, I've had a family that has kept me sane and grounded, because they've given me that love and confidence that I needed when, you know, you can't seek it anywhere else.
Very true. Duduzanne, I wanna take this now into the future.
Yes.
I mean, you're a friend. You and me had side conversations before, and
Yes.
I have, yeah, and I have an idea about what you aspire in life. But I will let you say what you need to say. Well, knowing the journey that you've been through, knowing all the challenges that you had to maneuver through. Some of them might be, some of those challenges, you're still dealing with them as we speak now. What's next? What's the aspiration?
Aspiration is very simple. I'm moving into what I like to believe is the second third of my life. You know, so I've spent the whole close to 40 years now building up whatever dreams and aspirations I had for that time as a youth. The second portion is very simple. Whatever experiences I've learned along the way, whatever successes I've been a part of, because there have been many, whatever failures I've been a part of, there have been some. And the networks that I have accumulated over this journey, I think it presents a unique opportunity, not for myself, because everyone has got their own unique opportunities, but speaking for myself, it creates a unique opportunity to take, because I'm a South African, as you know, to take what I've learned the world over, to take those people that I've had the opportunity to mingle with, to do business with, to discuss future endeavors, whatever those endeavors are, to bring them all around the table and to see how we're going to make South Africa and Africa work. Because that is the bigger picture. How that is done, how that is defined, how people may want to perceive it, that's beyond my control. But my aspiration, the future that I believe I have, the contributions that I want to make, I think I've got some very big contributions to make. And over time, you will see this, because the way I've walked my journey, I believe in doing, I don't believe in talking. So once it's done, we'll have a conversation. But you'll understand it, because you are going to be part of that journey as we discussed. I think there's a lot that needs to be done. But when the journey unfolds, that's something that we'll be tracking as often as we can.
I love how you've put this in a context that it's clear and it's not clear at the same time. What I'm taking is there is a big desire and commitment or willingness to serve your country, and that's, as you said, we don't know how that's going to manifest at the end, but that's going to put you somehow, it could put you somehow in the public domain even more than how you were in the past or how you are now. Does that not scare you after all what you've been through?
Bassem, I think there are people that look to me to assist them on their journey. I've done that. Wherever I have the opportunity to assist people, I've done so. If I'm not able to, I'll say, look, I'm not able to. But for a bigger play, people are saying they believe in me. They believe I can assist them. I can assist the country in getting it to a certain position that it could get to and it should be in. There is an African dynamic that needs to be unpacked. I think there's definitely something that needs to be done on the continent, and I believe I could be part of getting that job done. me being in the public domain, we've had this discussion. I've been a very private person. I've kept to myself, I've minded my own business. But I found the funny thing is, even though I've done so, a lot of my trials and tribulations, I've been using this term a lot, because that's what it is. And exactly that statement. A lot of my trials and tribulations have brought me into the public domain. There's a lot of things that people know about me now that they shouldn't, but they do for whatever reason.
Without you choosing that.
Without me choosing that. I didn't volunteer it. It happened. There's a certain way that media does things, exposes, and all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of information out there that shouldn't be, and it is. If that's the case, then that's the case. It's like I said, a lot of stuff is beyond my control. So moving forward, if there's stuff that we need to do, and it garners public interest or it's public exposure, then so be it. I am not afraid of that. It is not my choice. I've never volunteered it, but it has happened. So we take it in our stride.
Well, I mean, absolutely, as you said. And I want to link back to a question I asked you earlier about the impact of the loss of your mom. Yes. And then you said that it's a big event when any child loses their parents. And I hope that you will continue to live long and enjoy the best time with your family. I know your wife and two beautiful daughters that you have. What might you do different in order to protect yourself and protect your family now that you are going to go into this new phase of your life, giving the experiences that you experienced and you know the value of having a family together and parents and everything. Would that change your experiences that you had before and knowing that you're going ahead? So I'm not questioning your willingness to go, but would you think differently? Would you take any different decisions, keeping that threat in mind?
I think, Bassem, history dictates, life's experiences dictate. Fortunately for me, I've been in a position where I have been a child and I've seen, if I may call him, a high-profile individual live his life and the journey that came with that. The one thing that I will do differently, just thinking retrospectively, which my father didn't do, he might disagree with me, but he didn't, is I believe there's certain discussions that need to be had. And I respect him for not having the discussions because it was a different time. It was during the apartheid time. And, culturally, a youngster's a youngster. There's certain discussions you don't have with youngsters. I get that and I respect it. What I would do differently is have certain discussions with my family. Wife, children, because all one can do is impart knowledge. So give you whatever tools that I believe will be necessary from the way that I've experienced it. How you use those tools is up to you, because you can never be too careful. You can't build the tallest walls. You can't, isolate people and keep them on an island. That's I don't believe in.
That defeats the whole purpose of
the whole purpose, 100%. So just arming them with the right artillery to get through life. Of course, there's certain things you need to be cognizant of. There's certain movements that you need to make that need to be different. That goes for all of us. And it's merely a discussion. It's just about information exchange, guys. This is the situation. This is where it's going. This is what has happened, and this is how we're going to deal with it. Preferably before the problem arises. Right? Afterwards, it's never too late. We have the discussion, and hopefully, we're all still around to have that discussion.
Yeah, I always use the term, you need to enroll the people around you in your vision. And that would change from being a load on your shoulder into a support that will help you keep moving forward. So it's not going to be easy all the time, because as individuals we have different point of view.
I'm still learning how to do that. Absolutely, you know, I'm not there yet. I'm still learning how to do it. It's interesting that you say that, but that's something that, you know, later in my life I've gotten to understand, because, you know, for the most part I was living a singular lifestyle. Now it's plural. There's other people involved. You know, I've got a family, so it's like, oh, by the way, okay, they might not know this, and if they do, I run the risk of repeating myself. But, you know, it's a discussion that I need to have.
I guess you don't need to learn it. It's in your genes. I've watched you several times, and I know how family person you are, Dudo. I've seen you looking after your daughters. I've seen you how a careful and generous husband you are. So I have no doubt that you will bring this into your mind as you step into this part of this journey. I want to thank you for being with me in this interview. I value a lot the insights that I received from you. And I want to tell you, Duduzanne, not just because we're friends, and not just because I personally learned a lot from you. Even this is the first time maybe you're hearing this from me. I was amazed. I mean, I knew you before I know who you are. And then I got to know more about you after. And then knowing everything we discussed, and in this interview, we probably not even touched the surface of your journey. There's much more, and not just challenging stuff. I mean, there's a lot of good and achievements as well there. But every time I met you, Duduzanne, you amazed me with your calmness. You amazed me with the smile that you have on your face. And I guess one that have those talents and those gifts built in them, they can achieve a lot. And I have a lot of confidence that you're gonna achieve a lot in the new phase that you're planning for yourself. And it gives me an honor to be your friend, and knowing you, and being next to you in any capacity during this journey.
Listen, those are some very kind words. I highly appreciate it. And I have to thank you, and to thank your viewers, your subscribers, for giving me this opportunity. I don't take it lightly. You are a serious individual in your own right. You have an interesting journey yourself. I mean, there's certain stuff that we're going to speak about offline, but I've researched it. I've looked into it. There's, you know, the one thing that I appreciate about you is from the first time that we met, you've treated me, you've been the same person, and I value that. You know, that speaks of consistency, and that's all we look for in people. You know, this consistency. You've got a very calming demeanor. You've got a very warm nature, and I think that's what drove not just myself but my family to you as well. We look to you as an elder brother. You are experienced in more than one field. You are well traveled. You are knowledgeable. So we can only look to you for guidance and a roadmap into dealing with some issues that some of us may not have had the opportunity to speak about historically. And I have to appreciate you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to engage with yourself and with your viewers. To the viewers, I will not let you down. You may not know me, but you will get to know me.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Thank you very much. Look forward for more opportunities in the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bassem. Thank you very much.